Hi everyone, I think we can start. Hi ladies and everyone who's watching us, and welcome. Welcome to our new online meetup. I'm Ilaria Farina, and together with Mariana Ozaki, we are Ladies That UX Milan chapter leaders. Today, unfortunately, it's our last online event before the summer break, but don't worry because we're gonna get back on September, so please don't forget to subscribe. This way you will be updated with our upcoming events and news. So today, as you saw from our presentation event, we're going to talk with Alessandra Canella, which will be our special guest, and she will explain and share with us her experience with female leadership and mentorship in design. And for this reason, so we're going to have a sort of a talk format. So feel free, don't hesitate to write comments, doubts, and questions on the chat on YouTube or Facebook. So in this way, Alessandra, at the end of the meeting, will be able to answer your questions and your doubts. So I think that we can move on. So before we start, I'd like to make an introduction about Ladies That UX. As maybe some of you know already, Ladies That UX Milan, it's Ladies That UX in general. It's a community. Actually, it's a really friendly, welcoming, and collaborative community with a growing number of people and person and local group. Actually, today we are in 75 cities worldwide. And we are very proud to say that Milan is the first chapter in Italy, and we started it. Actually, it's almost a year ago today, but we're gonna celebrate it. Don't worry.
Yes.
Really nice. Okay. As I said before, I'm Ilaria Farina, a chapter Ladies That UX Milan chapter leader with Mariana, and I'm working as a user experience designer. For accessibility now, I'm gonna describe a little bit of myself physically. So I can say I'm Caucasian, I have brown hair, and at the moment I'm wearing glasses, otherwise I can't see a thing. I'm wearing a sleeveless purple dress, and right now I'm connecting from my hometown, which is Verona, and my pronoun is she and her. So I let the word to Mari.
I welcome everyone. I'm Mariana Ozaki. I work as a service interaction designer. So for describing myself, I'm an Asian woman. I'm wearing black, a black shirt today. I'm using earphones. My hair is half tied, and I have this fake background. Pretending that is my living room, that everyone thinks is my living room, but it's not. Yeah, that's it. Welcome, everyone.
Okay, before we start, just a few things. Okay, as you see, we have many channels, open channels on social media, where you can contact us. Actually, at the moment, we are looking for volunteers for our event organization, planification, and in general to sustain the growth of our community based in Milan, here in Milan. So if you're interested in this kind of thing, in be part of this community, so don't hesitate to contact us on the social media that you prefer. So the referral are in the link in the video and in our profile. Last but not least, today actually we sent to all the people that participated in our last events a survey. This survey is, and you can see the link of the survey in the description of the video. This survey it's very important and precious for us because it let us collect all the feedback to improve our work and to improve what we are doing. And so please, if you have time, if you are interested, let us know what you think and fulfill our survey. So that would be very, very appreciated. So I leave the word to Mari.
Okay.
To introduce our guest.
Silvia. Thank you. I have a little bit of delay that I can see here. Hope you don't mind. Please write on the comments where are you watching us from, because we're curious. So for introducing our special guest today, Alessandra, she is currently working as head of service design team at FutureGov. She has 10 years of professional experience in design on projects for private and public clients, leading international teams to deliver impact. In 2016, she joined FutureGov in London, where she has been working on projects for local and central government and the third sector. In May of 2020, this year, she co-founded Mega Mentor, which is a service to change mentorship for design leaders that she will explain. She will explain better to us along this event. I had the opportunity to meet Alessandra in person when I first came to Italy in 2015, where she was one of the co-founders of Service Design Drinks. That here in Milan, it's a super big community where I also inspired myself to start Ladies That UX. So I'm really glad that she's today with us. So we would like to introduce Alessandra Canella to talk about female leadership and mentorship with us today. Yay! Welcome.
Hello, thank you, Mariana, and thank you, Ilaria, for having me.
Hi, Alessandra.
Hiya.
Welcome, Alessandra. It's a real pleasure to have you. Can you hear? You can hear?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. It's a pleasure to have you here, and thank you for your time that you're sharing with us. So, first of all, can you introduce a little bit yourself before we start our talk?
Yeah, of course. So I'm an Italian immigrant living in the UK. I'm a Caucasian woman with curly hair and brown eyes and brown hair, and my pronouns are she and her. I'm a mom as well. I'm a mom of 2 years and a half toddler.
Nice.
A mom, professional, woman. So, a lot of stuff. So, if you girls are okay, I'm gonna start this talk with the first question that I'd like to ask to our guest, to Alessandra. First of all, if you could share with us a bit of your career growth and the challenges that you faced along the way, because as Mariana also already said a little bit, we know that at certain point you needed probably a change of perspective from consultancy, and you moved instead to public services. So could you tell a little bit more about it?
Yeah. I'm gonna start from day zero to understand how journeys are. So, like, my journey is not too complex, I would say. I mean, in my perspective, of course, it's quite linear. I graduated at the Politecnico di Milano in Como, and I have a bachelor in furniture design. And then I'm reading the comments, and it's very, very distracting. I shouldn't do that. Because as soon as I said Como, a comment from Como appeared. So I studied there. I stayed there for 3 years. I had a bachelor in furniture design. And then I actually started studying furniture design just quite randomly. Like, I didn't fully understand what I was embarking. I thought I was gonna design places, but actually I was designing furniture. Whatever. Doing 3 years, I understood that I like design, but it was already very, very clear that I wasn't a very good designer. Shaping, like, you know, my hand, as we would say in Italian, wasn't as good. And I actually understood that the bit I enjoyed the most was research. And I've been always very passionate of speaking in English and traveling. Therefore, I was like, okay, if I'm going to move on, I want something that lets me combine all these things. And that's when I found out about product service system design at Politecnico. So this time in Milan. And it was a good opportunity because it was the first class course, actually, the whole course taught in English. it would allow me to go to China for a year and a half, and theoretically was about learning how to do the discovery bit very well. So I joined Product Service System Design, and then in February 2010, I left for a couple of years. I went to China, where I got a double master's degree in design innovation. China was super fun. I met my husband there, and in general, it was like amazing because being such a young designer, jobs came to me. Just randomly, being an Italian, being a designer in the Chinese context really was a perfect match. And I started freelancing and doing little project, but nothing that was really like the thing I wanted to do. I really wanted to do something that was about designing a thing, but actually doing research beforehand. And then I did this thesis that I'm still very proud of, so worth mentioning. I did this thesis on sexual health. So the role of sexual health to support women increasing their sex awareness. And after that, I came back to Italy and I did a little bit of freelancing, and then I joined Experiencia in Turin, and I've been working there for about 2 years and a half. This is where now titles you will see don't matter that much. So my title there was UX researcher and designer, and that was a very good first step in my career, because they really, Experiencia was back then one of the few places where they really did really do research. So we were sent out around the world, from China to America and to the US, to do proper discovery with users. So it was a very good opportunity. But after 2 years and a half, and now I know that every 2 years and a half, I'm always looking for something new. So back then I didn't know, but now I know. I started looking for something new, and that's when I joined Continue, that is now IPAM. Continue Milan. The opportunity was very interesting for me, because I wanted to work for a consultancy that was that had a broader spectrum, and that could do products, physical products, not only digital products, and therefore Continue sounded like a good deal. I joined Continuum as, I think the title that was strategic designer. And this is where, as I said, titles gets funny. And again, amazing place to work for. And again, opportunity to travel internationally, a nice, lovely team, and we did amazing projects for overall, like throughout these 5 years of experience. I've been working for clients that go from Samsung down to Intel, down to Medela, that is a breast pumping company, very famous and very well known if you're a mom. It was, yeah, proper fun. But then roughly at that point, I got tired again. Guess what? 2 years and a half in. And I just thought it was time to change. And with my husband, we had been talking a lot about, should we move again? Or should we be one of these Italians that complain a lot about the country, but they don't do anything about it? And we decided that we wanted to be the former. So we decided to move again. And actually, the story is quite funny. I mean, it's just a sign that when you want things to happen, they just do. So we came back from the honeymoon on the 14th of July. On the Monday, I sent an email to FutureGov saying, hey, we have been in contact back in the month and we never actually finalized anything. are you still interested in me? And by August 15th, so in a month, I resigned my job at Continuum, and September 15, we moved to the UK. So there was a quick turnaround, and I remember my husband Jonathan feeling quite overwhelmed, because it was obviously when I made this call. But yeah, it has been so far so good. So the change then with FutureGov that I joined in September 2016 has been not very much about not being a consultant anymore, because I'm still a consultant, but I'm applying my experience and expertise and knowledge and everything I know to the public sector. And the reason why I got here is because I was just tired of designing for the unnecessary. You know, like designing, I got to a point where I was designing the another thing for another bank, and I was quite tired of it. I was like, who is actually getting a benefit of this? I mean, who really needs to withdraw money, saving maybe 3 seconds, while actually there are people that are not able to access public services, that are not able to get support for a child that might have learning difficulties, or, you know, or they're having problem having a safe roof where they can rest at night. So I just decided that that was it. And being with FutureGov has been so far so good. Very good company that gave me like a lot of opportunity to grow. So I started as a senior service designer, and then I after I don't remember the years exactly, but after maybe 2 years, I was promoted to a lead, and now I'm the head of, with a maternity break in the middle. So a lot of growth and responsibility, of course. But yeah, so like one of the things that I learned is that the good things shape your journey as much as the bad things, and actually the bad things, so not liking anymore what you're working on or not agreeing with strategic decisions, are actually very helpful, because even though they might be extremely painful to go through when you are in the moment, when you look back, you're like, okay, this is the reason why it happened, and there was this other plan for myself.
Wow. So actually, you did a lot. You have been around, you've seen many different realities, many places. You've met a lot of people, I guess, and from different background. You actually you did a lot. I don't know how to express in a better way, but I'm really amused by your experience, because you did really. I don't know how to say. Has in this moment that, of course, you're growing. I guess you keep growing, but from now you just have a lot of experience in many ways, I guess. So my second question, actually, it's a question that I can answer this question without asking you, I guess, because it's easy to understand. Probably your experience has had an impact, and your different realities that you faced, and the person that you met, I guess they all had an impact and an influence on your way of work, on your way of working. So maybe I'm gonna ask you if it's FutureGov, or more what happened in between that influenced your way of working, and in which way?
Ways of working in general, you're asking, or are you thinking about something specifically?
If you have, for example, I guess if you have an international team,
yeah,
you probably work with a different methodology from another experience that you had, and maybe made you grow in a working way, I guess, and professional way. So how did this opportunity of FutureGov, but all the reality that you faced, gave you the opportunity to to grow and influence your way of working?
Yeah. So now that I'm actually thinking about it, I've been always working in international teams. I'm reading the comments, and this is very flattering. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Federica. Thank you, Erika. So I've been always working in international teams, and that's where it gets fun. It was an international team, the one I was working in Shanghai. It was international experience, and Continuum was possibly the least international one. And now in FutureGov, when I started, we were 15 people in total, and now FutureGov is about 75. And the citizen team, that is my team, is made of 15 people. And overall within FutureGov, there are people that are from New Zealand, Australia, Italy, India, Portugal, Germany, like all the places. So it's definitely highly international. And I would say that possibly I got so used to working this way that I don't even think about it anymore. For me, it's quite a given that everybody has got a different way of thinking about the thing. And it's not just related to being international, but it's just having different backgrounds. So like even within people from the same nationality, from the same nation, for example, pick two Italians, right? Their background, how wealthy was the family, where they studied, and what did they do? Have they been traveling or not? This is influencing the way they're going to think about work. So I think that's important to recognize with recognizing like our journeys as people when we work together, and never actually give it for granted. I think that the thing that shaped the most the way I work now at FutureGov has been really the transition from the private sector to the public sector. So the way we used to work when we were working for these big clients, private clients, was really much about you give me the brief, we're going to work on the project, and we are going to come back to you maybe in a month's time, in 2 months' time, maybe we're going to have milestone in, but we weren't really collaborating necessarily. And this was back in the years, 5 years ago. And 5 years in this sector really had a high impact. Why, when I joined FutureGov, I understood that there was a completely different way of working, and that I found much more interesting, because the way in which FutureGov works, and now we work within the team, is really, really much driven for sustainable change and real impact. So like what we're doing is that we are going to read the brief, but then possibly we're going to move in the council and work with you throughout the thing you want us to work on, so that we can actually achieve the change together. We're going to have somebody from your team, or possibly other teams as well, join the core team, so that it's not just FutureGovers working by themselves, but it's going to be FutureGovers with people from the team, from the council, so that we focus not only on designing the thing, but actually upskilling people, doing capability building, so that by the end of the project, we have actually delivered the thing, definitely, because this is why we're paid. But at the same time, we make sure that people come along the journey with us. And I think this is like a brand new way of thinking about it. I've never been particularly interested in the genius. The genius designer, they think about the solution and they go and they design for it. In particular, when it comes to service design, it's very much impossible to do so, because the service is highly contextual. It's contextual, thinking about the people that are going to use it, the people that are actually offering it, then the place, the borough. So like designing something for Islington is quite different than designing something for Peckham, that is a district South London. So I think all these things together now shape the way I work. But then definitely there are things that happen in my private life that had an impact on how I take care of the team, for example, and how much I do prioritize their happiness and their well-being to deliver the best work, and possibly even being a mom. Sometimes I feel like I'm caring for the team as much as I would care for my son. But this is just who I am as a person. So it's really like an overlaying of reason why I work the way I do.
Thank you, Alessandra. I think especially the last part that you said about caring about the team is the same as caring about your son, I think, because makes me reflect also on the fact that, for example, leaders nowadays, like we see in a different way that it was before. Like before, we used to see like a leader as like a boss, that's a person that is going to boss you in your task. That is not going to be a person that is going to guide you, care for you, mentor you, and help you grow somehow. So for this, my next question will be, so about Mega Mentor. This year, you co-founded it, and also you launched the service. What were your influences? How has the project started? Because I think it's very, very important, especially talking about leadership in design, because this is not a thing that we learn in university, in any course that we do. So I would like to know more about it.
Yeah, like this point about I'm going to talk about Mega Mentor, but this point about the leadership style. Leadership is very much a personal thing, and your style in leadership is very much, I think, reflective of a little bit who you are as a person. And then the other one, it's your perception of power and what do you want to use your power for. So there are still people that think the leadership is about imposing. It's not that it's gone. But I think it's important that when you are on this journey, and you are possibly on this journey, acknowledge the fact that you can design your style. Is not I think it's about being authentic with yourself and understanding which way you want to go and who would you be, no matter what happens. How can you still be truly happy with yourself and how you work? And that's how I decided the kind of style of leadership that I wanted to adopt. But I'm still like early days on this journey, so it might change. But anyway, so what happened? I told you about the fact that at a certain point I became a lead, and becoming a lead. Yeah, interesting questions. I'll cover them later on. So I became a lead at FutureGov, and then I thought, oh my gosh, this is a lot of change. Being a lead was mainly I was responsible. We co-shared the role. So I was a people lead, and then there was Jan, that is a very close friend of mine, that is a FutureGov as well, and he was the practice lead. So my role was supposed to be managing all the senior service designers within the team. There were about 2 or 3 back then. And then co-sharing with Jan, co-hosting the service design team meeting, where we would come together and chat and make sure to progress the practice. And then, but then it would be Jan's role to actually do all the work related to the practice. So how do we do things differently this year compared to last year, or where do we want to go? So this happened, and I got, I thought, I want a mentor. because this is an important moment in my journey, and I want somebody to help me figuring it out. So questioning how I'm doing it and why I'm doing it. I'm really very passionate about why I do things. Why do I think about stuff? And so I wanted to get to the bottom of this. And that's when I reached out to Lauren Curry. I don't know if you know, but she's like very inspirational, amazing woman in design. And I asked her, what do you think I should do? What kind of support do you reckon I should get? And we talked about getting like a mentor, but possibly we talked about building a wolf pack. So the of having a group of people that are going to support you and they are going to get you through. And I was really much about this wolf pack. Sound amazing, even because I'm very much about relationships. So I thought this sounds interesting, but I had no clue, not being English and not being British, where to start from, even because I was coming from a maternity. So like my place was all about play dates. My brain was all about play dates and finding friends who had kids, rather than finding friends who were about to embark a journey in leadership and design. And that's when I posted something on Twitter saying, hey, I just got a promotion. And if any of you are going through something similar and you're now in charge of a team or a practice or in charge of something, so I called it like, if you're now a lead, it would be nice maybe to come together and every so often. And then and people were up for it, and I was so happy about it. Because like, oh my gosh, this is so nice. So I created this thing that is called Leads Meeting. And Leads Meeting, the idea was not much structure. It was, you come, we're going to meet in a pub, and you just have to bring one challenge. So people would come and say, I have a problem. I need to do a lot of things now in this lead position that I have, but I have, I know I end up, I'm very like a control freak. I have troubles in letting go. What are you doing? So everybody would open up with a question, and we would try to crowdsource the answer. We would take turns. So I would do this. What do you think about? And it's actually very nice because like these were like all people facing the same challenges all together, and it's a different relationship compared to the one of a mentor, because the mentor is somebody who has gone through that already. Therefore, the memory about things are a little bit faded. Well, in this case, it was perfect because any problem I had, I could go to this meeting and say, okay, I've got a person that is absolutely underperforming. I don't know how to tackle it, or I don't know how to position this with the senior leaders. You know, like every question, and people just joined it, and it was very nice. I never thought about scaling it up because I didn't want to make it like a formal meeting where people would not even say anymore what was on their plate because it would be too sensitive. So I always thought, if we get to 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people, that's the max I want to get to. I never want to get to a place where I need to sell tickets. And then this Leads Meeting became a thing in Edinburgh as well, because an ex-colleague of mine, Kirsty Sinclair, she moved back to Scotland, and she was like, I really need to have a peer group to talk about my new responsibility. I was like, you can do Leads Meeting. Therefore, I just created, like, I shared this blog post, and you can find it if you look it up, where I said, this is what I thought, this is what I've been doing. You're free to do it. If you just want to call it Leads Meeting, it would be fun because there would be like multiple Leads Meeting happening around the UK. And it has been working in a very interesting way. So this is how it started. But then, how do we get to Mega Mentor? Sorry, it's a long story, but I thought it was interesting, and hopefully it is. So what happened is that okay, are you hearing me all right? Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then what happened is that Kirsty posted a tweet message saying, I'm looking for mentors. I found it a bit tricky. And I was like, oh, I've got something to say about this. And then we started like a random exchange of tweets in which I was saying, my back then line manager messaged different people that she thought they could be my mentor to ask them if they wanted to be my mentor, but they never got back to me. So I said, look, this happened. I think there's a problem here. And then other people, so Afsa and Matthew, they joined this conversation as well. And Matthew was like, should we do something about this? And I was like, yeah, okay, cool, next week. And that's how it started. So we did this first call possibly end of January, beginning of February. And we were like, okay, there's something that we need to do about this, because what we understood that there was a problem, mainly there's a barrier that is there in the design industry about finding mentors. And it's a barrier because if you are in the position of needing a mentor, you need to understand who these mentors are. And it's tricky because unless you've got like some inspirational people that are never ever going to reply to your LinkedIn messages or Twitter messages, otherwise you're lost because you don't know who to talk to. But then at the same time, you might feel a little bit like, am I really supposed to send an email to this person asking them for time? And time is so precious nowadays, right? And so we went a little bit back and forth, and we did a little bit of discovery for this project. And then I kept saying, let's get something shipped, let's get something sorted, let's get it live. Even though, I mean, we know what is the typical process that we would suggest our clients to go for. I really felt that we knew what our hypotheses were, so we could actually ship the thing and see how it would go. So we did it. It went live. Like even getting this ready was a little bit of a pain because, of course, lockdown happened. And in my case, it's a lockdown with a toddler. So that meant working the weekends to get this sorted. But the day it got sorted and it went live, we got an overwhelmingly positive reaction. So it went live on the 17th of May. And in 2 weeks, we had, I'm looking at my numbers, 43 mentors, 284 Twitter followers, and 1,258 visitors to the website. So it was clear that there was definitely a need there. And today we've got 75 mentors, and we said that this first minimum viable service was fine up to 100 mentors. So there's something in there. So this is how Mega Mentor came about.
Wow. I really love the story, Alessandra, because actually when I came across Mega Mentor, I was like, oh my God, finally someone created a platform like this, like a service like this. Because I also don't, like, I believe in the learning by doing, but in the same sense, if you have different responsibilities, like exchanging experience, I think is very, very important. And yeah, I think it's very, I'm really great. I'm really happy that you did this, and it's very, very inspiring, the whole idea. So
maybe to say about Mega Mentor. So like the whole point of Mega Mentor is to make it super easy to find mentors, and you can go there, you click on the Calendly link, and you book them straight away. So there's no back and forth, there's no guilt or like a fear of asking somebody for their availability. They decided they are available, so we are removing the barrier to find a mentor, and it goes directly in your diary, and you just have to show up. So it's super easy. I would say like the only thing that I'm still a little bit trying to crack is that we actually wanted this platform to be the place where we, myself, Kirsty, and all the others could find our own mentor. and that's still proven a little bit hard, because the level of mentors that are there, apart from a couple, they're like superstar mentors. The others are like us, and that's great. But then we are missing mentors for ourselves again. So I think this speaks of a problem within the design industry that is about my possible mentors are possibly so far removed from the idea that they can be mentor and why they should be a mentor. That's why they don't even think about it. So what we're doing with Mega Mentor is that possibly we are creating the change that we want to see, because now I have this mindset, and in 10 years time, when I'll be like a badass head of ed service designer, I will know that I have to find some time to make this happen. And then, you know, the same, the people that now are accessing my mentoring hours, they're going to be the new heads of. So I think it's just, we've got a theory of change in place. It's just about making it happen.
Very nice, very inspiring. So as you described, your professional life was a long path that brought you to become a leader. And now, like, what does it mean, leadership, for you as a professional and also as a woman?
Yeah, so we could go back to the thing about different styles of leadership, right? So for me, leadership has always been a thing. I'm not going to say it wasn't, you know, like there are some people that are all about, they're not interested in leadership. But possibly because of my family, big family, I need to have my voice heard. Has always been a calling. But then, like within FutureGov and beyond, I know there's a lot of talking about what does it actually mean, because there are people with 10 years of experience or even more, they're not interested in the leadership that I'm going for. So like the one of managing a team and be responsible for a team. And they're like, these are the kind of people that are more like, I want to be the best practitioner ever. So if ever it's about service design, I want to be the person you would think of. So there are different ways. I think it's about you trying to understand which one is yours. And I knew that mine was about managing a team and making sure that they are happy and thriving in order to deliver the best work. I've always been like a people person. I'm all about relationships. I'm all about taking care of the person. I'm all about trying to understand where they want to go beyond the place that they're working for now. So I think that's just my calling. But at the same time, the thing I realized that with the title comes with responsibilities. Unfortunately, it doesn't come easy to me to actually remind that I'm now the head of. Even now that I'm saying it, I'm like, oh, you're kidding. I still think I'm 24 years old, while I'm not. And so I think it's important that I personally keep checking in with myself and remember that with this title, people will perceive me in a different way. So like my team that can be junior, depending who we're thinking about, but generally it's quite junior. Then of course, when they speak with me, anything I will say to them, they will perceive it as, oh my God, the head said this. I'm now that person. So it's important that I check in and you check in if you're in the same position to actually realize that you've got responsibilities. And with responsibility, actually, a number of things come that are about understanding the level of any feedback that you give is going to have like a different weight with it on it. But at the same time, I think the other side, the positive, less heavy side, possibly, is that it's in your really, the possibility of designing these teams to make them work. Forget about the typical way of working in teams. It's now your opportunity to design a team. And I found this very fascinating. I remember when I took the leap, I spoke with my manager and I was like, I'm a little bit like, I'm not sure 100% because, you know, being a designer is all about being in love with the idea of designing things. So if now I'm just about managing what's happening with my designer side, he's like, but you're not actually just, you don't give up designing. You will be figuring out internal processes. You're going to be figuring out like things to make your team do the best work. So it's still about designing things, just a different thing. And I thought that was a very nice framing that really helped me taking off some pressure that I was putting on myself. And the other thing is that now with this responsibility, of course, I can decide what I want the team to look like. So if you think about inclusive practices, inclusive design, this is my opportunity to actually shape it and say, we need somebody who has got like a completely different experience, maybe a BME background, or so on and so forth. So yeah, as I said, with the title comes responsibility, and it's our opportunity to design for it.
Thank you. Sorry, I have some connection problems. Sorry. Thank you, Alessandra. Actually, listening to you and the way you're talking about leadership makes me think about leadership as the easiest and most natural thing in the world. I don't know if I can explain this. I don't know what I'm thinking it correctly. I mean, you look very I don't know.
That looks natural to her.
Yeah. It looks yes. It looks so natural listening to you, and so maybe it makes me feel about the leaders, some leaders that I know, and make me think, make me do some comparison. And yes, maybe there's something that could be better listening at you. So thank you for sharing with us this kind of also of experience. Another thing that we didn't talk about yet, it's about the female role. So, and especially, of course, in the design field, which is our field, of course. What I wanted to ask you is, having a solid career in this digital field, how do you see the female role, the female professional's role, sorry, in this sector? Since you also have a position different from someone else, maybe you can have a vision, more a broad vision.
Yeah. I'm generally inspired by what's happening what's happening in the digital scene, led by other women. I think my perspective has changed a lot since we moved to the UK. The exposure here to everything I'm talking about, so women leadership, design leadership, even like privilege, inclusion, it's at a different level. Therefore, I'm I consider myself very fortunate to be here, because I know what Italy can thrive for. If you think about women that are particularly inspiring to me, I think about the CEO of Design Council, Sarah Weir. I think about Lauren Corey, of course, and I think about Sarah Drummond, that is Snook founder. And then, yeah, like, then I try to think about women in the Italian scene. And unfortunately, in all the places I've been working, it was mainly a male-dominant scene. And this speaks of the maturity of Italy, both within the design sector and just being able to recognize women leading practices. So I just find it very sad that I couldn't think of Italian names, and I'm not proud of this, but that's my experience, right? So possibly things now have changed, and I hope that you, if you're listening from Italy, you can think of some of the names. But apart from my friends that used to work with me in Experiencia, and they're like all women, Laura Polazzi, Maria Teresa, Raffaella Citterio, Maria Teresa dell'Aquila, Raffaella Citterio, Eloisa Palafontana. These are the women I know they're doing a badass work, but then beyond them, I'm a little bit pointless. And I think it's important, as I said, the UK is a little bit different from Italy, but I think it's important that we embrace who we are as women when we decide to go for a career in the design industry. Within the design industry, there's a lot of talking about these matters, right? So like representation, women, equality, equity, all these kind of things. Possibly in other sectors, it's less so, and it's still very male dominated. I know Twitter can be quite an echo chamber, but that's what I'm feeling. But I think, as the point I was to make is important that we become leaders true to ourselves. So we really question what kind of leaders we want to be. So, you know, like the typical thing that a man leader might do differently compared to what we do. And if a woman does a thing, then she's called bossy or she's called passive aggressive. Happened to me. And I think we just have to call it out and make sure that we remain authentic. We have a different way of dealing with people, of managing projects, of getting things done. And I hope we can all take some moments throughout our journey to actually do it as a woman would do, and not doing just because a man was doing it before, and that's the only example we've got.
Yes, actually, what you just said, I think it's a really precious point of view, because it's very important. I think this is my opinion. It's very important for us as women not to want to be seen as men would act, but as women, to actually let us be who we are and take roles in the same way.
Yeah,
but in our way.
Yeah, I agree. Like, there are ways in which we relate to each other, the way we take care of each other, the way we deliver work, that is very different. And I wouldn't change it for the way a man would do it. And I'm not saying one is better than the other one. I think we just have a different way of doing it. Yeah. And if we just aspire to the same thing, then it's going to get bored. And possibly we're going to feel like we are not being true to ourselves, while... you know, I know what kind of leadership I am inspired by, and I would possibly feel violated if I was to change it just to match up what another person would do.
Yes, I totally agree with you. And talking about equality that you just mentioned before, last topic I'd like to discuss with you, and then we can get an open discussion with the comments and the questions that just came from our chat in the YouTube and Facebook. This is something that you actually brought up to our attention. Probably it's during our first chat while we were preparing this event, and we've talked about the complexity, as you just said, of being competent professionals and at the same time women. So, and maybe the use or the abuse of the term gender quotas and equality, gender equality. So, would you tell us something more about this topic, which is a very tricky one?
Yeah. Very tricky. So, like, to give you some context, what I was referring to, so everybody else knows. Back in the years, I just had my son, and he was maybe 3 months old, and I get contacted by this company that is going to organize a conference, and they call me and they say, we would really like you to come and present a case study. Can you do it this month, and so on? And I was like, I would love to, but unfortunately, I don't have the passport of the baby, and I'm still waiting for it, and I'm breastfeeding, so I don't feel like leaving him. You know what, I can actually suggest somebody else. And then I suggested this other colleague of mine, and they came back to me saying, is this one a man or a woman? And I'm like, it's a man. And they're like, no, sorry, then no, we were looking for a woman. And back then I felt extremely disappointed. I felt like they contacted me because I was a woman, not because I am a competent professional. But I've been thinking about it for days now, because I knew we were going to talk about this, and then I got to the conclusion that that's fine, and that possibly I should have suggested a woman, even when possibly the woman wouldn't have had the same level of knowledge that the men had, because we had been working on this project together. Because again, with titles, seniority, responsibilities, power, whatever, however you want to name it, it's important to remember that with representation, in order to have identification, you need representation. And if you don't have one, then the other one won't happen. So if you don't have models to aspire to, then it's going to be impossible for you, as a woman, as a Black person, as a gay person, as a whatever, it's going to be troublesome for you to understand that you can actually get there. So it's just about rolling up our sleeves and doing the best that we can to actually inspire the change that we want to see. And very, very timely, the other day, I started reading this book, The Invisible Women by Caroline Criado Perez. And I'm going to read out loud this a little piece here, page 16, if you have it. It says, in 1839, the composer Clara Schumann wrote in her diary, I once thought that I possessed creative talent, but I have given up this idea. A woman must not desire to compose. No one has been able to do it, and why should I expect to? The tragedy is, Schumann was wrong. Women before had been able to do it, and they included some of the most successful, prolific, influential composers of the 17th and 18th century. It's just that they didn't have broad name recognition. It means that basically history kept preferring male composers, and that's a thing that keeps happening. So like, men are in this book, I mean, if you read it, amazing, but it's really about the fact that women need to get space, and we haven't got enough recognition. So I'm all about gender quotas. Get it. If you cannot make it a conference, if you cannot make something that is going to give you exposure, give your slot to somebody else who can actually do with representation to inspire identification.
Thank you. So as you said, it's if you just get it right, you said it's better to be there, to conquer a spot, and then everything will come.
Yeah.
By the time. So
yeah. Because like, if I see myself, now you're seeing myself, right, in this position, and like possibly all the Italian women in this chat, they're gonna be like, oh, she made it, I can make it. But then I won't be representative for somebody who is, because I'm cisgender, I'm a mom, you know, like I'm white, I'm not actually representative for anybody who doesn't identify with the way I look. Therefore, they're never gonna think that they can make it. Next time, Mariana, she's going to be leading like a conversation, and then all Asian women possibly are going to be able to identify and say, okay, she's made it, I'm going to make it. So it's really about, if you don't see yourself in the person who is leading, in the person who is talking at conference, then possibly you think you're never going to be able to make it, get there. So I think it's important that, yeah, I agree, definitely equity, not equality. But I think it's important that we point our, like, whenever you got an opportunity for some exposure, you grab it. But if you've been already exposed 1,000 times, then possibly give up your spot to somebody who else who is definitely underrepresented.
I got it. I agree with you. Actually, it's as we said, it's a tricky topic. Probably it's not so easy. We're discussing it, and it makes sense for us. Maybe someone from our chat has a different point of view, and we will be more than happy to talk about it with it. Thank you, Alessandra.
I'm very happy, very thankful also, Alessandra, for everything that you just shared, because I actually feel that I'm in this place most part of the times, because here I'm in Italy. I live in Italy. I'm not Italian. I'm Brazilian, but everyone asks me where I'm from because I'm Asian, you know? So like having to deal with this kind of prejudice. Also, I like now in Brazil, I can see a lot of role models that I can follow, like people like me that are Japanese Brazilian women. Also, a few events ago, we hosted Bruna, that she's my friend from Brazil also, and she's Japanese Brazilian. So seeing this kind of people that looks like me makes me believe that I also can reach these levels. As you said before, it's very important to have representation, because sometimes it looks like when this person is talking about this lack of representation, sometimes it feels like, oh my God, you again, because you know, in most part of my conversations, I always try to get to these topics, to talk about it. But some people that they are in this place of privilege, especially, they think that what you're trying to share is like blah blah blah. It doesn't matter, you know. So I think it's very, very, very important. I feel very represented in the way that you explain.
And I actually like, to me, when people are like, oh no, wait a second, I mean, it took me 10 years to grab this seat, I'm never gonna let it go, is actually a sign of weakness. Because like, what do you need your chair for? I mean, you've done your bit, move on. Just leave it for somebody else. I really don't understand it. And I think it's extremely connected to the leadership style that you're gonna adopt. Because like, if you're like all tense about, it took me years to get where I am, I'm never gonna let it go, I'm never gonna give you space, I'll be like a micromanager all the time. Well, actually, if I'm like, I conquered it, but I can move on, I could do something else, now it's your turn, welcome. Of course, like there's another way of dealing with this. So I think they're actually all interconnected.
Yes, for sure. Cool. That was a really, really nice talk and really interesting and inspiring for me, for sure. I guess also for people who is watching us, because I've read very, very quickly some comments about it. So thanks, Alessandra. And now that we just ended our questions, so we can let the people from the chat have some questions too. Actually, I'm gonna grab this one, who I think was the first one, by sorry if I pronounced it not correctly, Joanna Luo. sorry, the opposite, it's correct. Hi, Alessandra, 2 questions for you. How do you define service design at the FutureGov? And is it challenging to educate people about it? Is it more commonplace in the UK?
Yeah. So service design is definitely very strong here in the UK. And I define service design as the ability to design end-to-end services that includes multi-touch points, thinking about the end user, but at the same time, the business perspective. So like, is it actually sustainable to deliver the service? Is it actually viable and given the staff or the tools that we have? And when I moved to the UK, definitely I noticed that there's everybody knows what is service design, and possibly is, yeah, then they're ready for the next thing. While in Italy it wasn't there. When I moved, so 4 years ago, definitely wasn't there as such. But I think now it's getting there as well. It's challenging to educate people about it. I think once they understand, they're like, oh, we're already doing this. So since it's not rocket science, it feels like people can actually understand it quite straightforward. The problem is actually the opposite, is that sometimes I feel like, oh, it wasn't rocket science, and they weren't using like strange tools, they were using post-its. We can do the same, replicate the same without actually having them here anymore. And that's where it gets tricky. So that's where, yeah, it became like quite commonplace that people can just join, you know, 2 days service design training, and then they're going to be service designers. And I'm really, really skeptical about this.
Thank you. Hope we reply to you, Joanna. Let us know if you have some other comments or some other questions. Mari, would you like to pick up some other questions?
Yes, sure. From Erica Lauro. Yeah. I also have question. How did you do and still cope with the patriarchal leaders or clients?
I don't do very well. That's my answer. I'm usually when this happens against the wall, and I have a hard time because I'm not diplomatic enough. So unfortunately, I just argue. But I've been trying to refine my my diplomacy skills. So I'm learning how to deliver feedback, for example, in a way that is not personal. I mean, it's personal because it's coming from my perspective, but it's not personal for you. So you won't feel attacked, and possibly you're going to be in a better place to work on it. So that's all. Like, actually, this piece about the feedback. So that I learned this thing from Nina, a former colleague of mine, that made a point. Yeah, I understand it. Yeah, she's saying same here, Alessandra. That's why I'm asking. This point of Nina, that you possibly might already know, but it's worth sharing. That how you share feedback is quite important to get it through. So it happens, I get like super frustrated and I'm ready to throw my computer up here. But I understood that this actually won't take me very far. So what I'm now doing is, first of all, I never react. So if there's anything that is really upsetting me, I'm just going to let it settle. I would recommend a 4-day settle period. It works pretty much well, but at least a couple of days. So don't overreact, because whatever something happens, you have to be able to process it. and become rational. So if you are an emotive person, like I am, I wouldn't be able then to handle a conversation because I get too emotional. Then I write down all my thoughts, and then I use this phrasing that is, because this happened, because you did this thing, this is how it feels. Therefore, I would like you to think about. So like, there's no questioning about how a thing made me feel, because I'm talking for myself. So you cannot question it. Then it actually changes the way people perceive the feedback, because they're like, oh my God, she felt this way. And then it opens up like, I didn't mean to make you feel this way. This is why I was doing it. I'm objective rather than, no, you weren't doing it for that reason, were you? You know, like the kind of discussion. And I've been delivering good feedback lately, and it's been proven, that people have been hearing it and working on it. So I think I'm successing this way. Ideally, I would just like to smash down completely this way of leadership, but it's not possible. So I think altogether, women trying to make this happen, the next generation is gonna like possibly benefit from us having these tough conversations. But I think it's important we keep having them, and just being super confrontational won't get very far. So let's build a set of strategies to actually destroy or challenge this other way of working when we don't think it's fair.
Thank you. I think you gave quite an answer. The emotional thing and the emotional reaction, it's an issue. It's a topic, not an issue. It's a topic. I feel it. So
Very accurate.
I totally appreciate your answer. We have another question, actually.
But can I just say something about emotions? Like, we are women, and very like, we have to stay connected to our emotions, and this is our advantage. Okay, so if we lose the connection with our emotions, then we lose an important bit of who we are, that is going to shape us as leaders as well. So like, I think it's important that we learn ways of managing our emotions. That doesn't mean suppress them or pretend we don't have them.
No, totally agree. Totally.
Yeah.
Yes, that's so true. And it's very difficult to it's very difficult to learn how to use your emotions in a productive way, in a constructive way, especially in a professional field, as a woman, of course. Okay, we have this last. No, I don't know if it's the last actually, but we have this other question from Paola Lazcano. Does imposter syndrome ever creep into your leadership role?
Yeah, I was reading this while I was talking, and yes, it does. It does heavily. But in particular, like at the beginning of this new role, I was like, why am I in charge? What am I actually do in order to deserve this? And then I try to find why I actually am here and doing what I'm doing. And it gets tricky because, like, if you're used to be a practitioner, therefore working on projects, and having a change in the role, in this case, I'm between more now far removed from project. I still work on them, but less compared to others. Therefore, I feel like sometimes even junior or mid designers, I've got like a practice that is much more updated than the one I have. But then I understand I can bring value where they cannot yet, because their expertise is limited, or they've been just working on 5 projects in their whole life. So I think it's important to keep checking in with yourself and understand the value that you brought that somebody else possibly wouldn't have been able to. And I read this Andy Polaine the other day. I can I'm not going to try to find it now, but he wrote about imposter syndrome in a leadership position. And he said that he was talking about the fact that he grew in a company, became a senior, and then became a hiring manager. And then he ended up having this amazing team. And he felt like, I'm very happy to have this amazing team, but what's the value I bring? Because I feel like these are they are basically automating me. They are so great that I don't understand what I'm doing here. And then he understood that actually, because he had so many years of experience, he had got like a baggage he could over time pull something out from. So like some of these smart people would come to him with questions about, I don't know how to do this, or this happened with the client. And he always had examples that he could refer to because he had already been there. Or, you know, in design reviews, so moments where you actually check in and you do like the review of the project and how everything is going. These smart people, they're still very smart, but usually what happens is that they get so stuck in the details that it's very hard for them to actually see like the overall picture, the bigger picture. And that's where our expertise is still very relevant. So, and I actually, you know what, I've been doing some design reviews as well. And I was like, how is it possible that I'm saying something that is actually relevant? I mean, these people have been working on a project for the last 3 months, and it's because the change of perspective, I can do a change of perspective because I'm not too much stuck in project. Others are not in the same position. So that gave me peace. I'm in a good day today, so I'm not feeling it too much. But definitely, yes, I feel it. And I think it's important that we keep feeling it, because it's a way for us, even though it's painful and it's not very nice to feel it. I think it's a nice way for checking in with ourselves and trying to understand what's the value I'm bringing and make sure that you're actually delivering on it.
Thank you, Alessandra. So we have another question.
That's a topic.
Sorry. Ila, do you want to say something?
No problem.
So we have another question.
It's okay. No problem.
There's a little bit of delay. I don't know if it's me or if it's her. But I can hear a delay. Sorry if I interrupt. So we have another question from Joanna Lua. Another one for you. How do you reconcile with job titles and career trajectory progression? For example, is it dangerous to take a role that sounds like a step down from what you used to do?
Does it sound, or is it? So titles don't mean much. When I review CVs or then I just skip the title. Usually it's the last thing I look at, because like you are going to call yourself a UX designer. And to me, actually within FutureGov, you might be a researcher, you know, like titles don't mean much nowadays. And for me to like assess a career trajectory or progression is really about, tell me the work you've been doing and what's role you've been playing on projects, what's the level of responsibility you have been handling. And then we can take your title and throw it out of the window. I don't care about it. It's more about what is your value? What are you expert of? What do you want to do more of? Taking a role that sounds like a step down from what you used to do, it depends. It's a little bit out of context, so it's difficult to say. But sometimes step down are actually as scary as promising. Like when I moved to London and joining FutureGov, I was coming from a place that had 300 employees and was an American consultancy, worldwide well-known. And then I joined FutureGov, where we were in total 15, and it was a startup, and the office was twice this room. Definitely, it felt like a step down, but it felt like a good step down in a way that was more in line with what I wanted out of my career. And then I'm lucky because now FutureGov is big and has been growing. So miracle lucky, right? I think you have to find what are you are truly interested, and then your career, your title, your progression will follow.
Thank you, Alessandra. We have another comment here.
Thank you.
Sorry, Ila. I hear the delay. I didn't want to interrupt you. I feel so rude. Sorry. So we have a comment from Paula that it's really nice to remain humble in a way. I don't know if you guys that are watching us have any more questions. Ila, do you want to say anything?
No, I just, if you can hear me right, I just want to say thank you to Alessandra, because it was a really a special moment that we shared, and thanks. That's it, really.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much, Alessandra. I think your speech was very inspiring, and I hope it inspires also other women to go forward their goals, and if they want to become a leader, or I don't know, if they need a mentor, they can look up for someone at Mega Mentor as well. And I think that's it. I don't see any more comments. So let's see. Yeah. So I really appreciate today, Alessandra. I already imagined that will be something like this. That will be a very inspiring conversation. So I'm very happy. Also, there are other comments from people that they are watching us from Berlin, from Manchester, from Milan as well, and Brooklyn. I will. Yes, I will show some people as well. Thank you guys very much for watching us. So as Ilaria said in the beginning, I don't know if you guys were here following us from the beginning of the conversation. We're going to take some summer break, some vacations in this month of August, because we are in Italy. Now it's becoming really hot this week, especially. This weekend is gonna be 38 degrees in Milan. So also to take a break to inspire ourselves, to have more ideas, to come up with other ideas for events, and also to bring other inspiring women such as Alessandra to have this space here and to talk with us. It's a great pleasure. Thank you very much, Alessandra.
Thank you. Enjoy your summer break.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So see you guys in September. Please don't forget to answer our survey, please, because we really want to bring some content that it's not only important for us, but for you guys from the community that follow us. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a great evening, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.